Yeah, you read the title right. This might be one of the most insane stories I've seen in a second. This girl actually wants to get pregnant by Skibidi. I don't even know. I don't even know. This is an interesting story either way, no matter how insane it is. I will say, do be prepared. It's a pretty crazy story. I mean, by the title alone, I don't know how it couldn't be. So just be prepared for that. And with that being said, subscribe if you're new and like stories. Leave a like on the video right now to claim your free nothing. With that being said, let's just jump into the story time. This is insane. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Kevin. So anyways, Kevin had a friend, and we're going to call this friend Ben. For the first time in a second, Ben is not the antagonist of this story. Ben is a good guy, and he has a tough situation that happens to him. Anyways, Kevin and Ben have been buds for the longest time. They've known each other ever since they've actually had memories. So their parents met each other probably at some like mommy daycare type event or something. So they've known each other for the longest time. And they went to middle school together, and now they're both freshmen in high school. And now to introduce the third character, the most interesting character, we're going to call this girl Ava. Ava has been kind of in their life ever since 6th grade when her parents moved over and she entered kind of the middle school in their area. Since day one, Ava's been crazy, literal psychopath. Okay, maybe not literal psychopath. That might be a misusing of the definition of the word literal, but she was not normal. She'd actually had a string of boyfriends in the past, and every single relationship had exploded in some terrible way. Of course, if you ask Ava, she's going to say that everyone that she's been with has been a nightmare. They're all terrible. While that is could be true, I'm not going to say it isn't true. Let's be realistic here. If someone has had a string of terrible relationships, it doesn't always mean this, but at some point you do got to ask, maybe they contributed to it a little bit. Anyways, though, so Ava was in a period where she just got out of a relationship, and we're going to call this guy Liam. Liam was a fairly normal dude. And Liam actually was okay friends with Kevin. So Kevin, the subscriber, just to keep the thing straight here, got the whole scoop. Basically, Ava would scream at him every single day. It was not a good relationship. So it was just not good. They kind of met each other at some party or something, and they were like, oh yeah, we love each other, blah, blah, blah. Within 2 weeks, Ava started tweaking out over everything. Liam would just not respond to her call because he was asleep or he was doing something. And he would look at his phone and be 400 missed calls from Ava. So when he picks up the phone, being like, what's up? Are you dying? Are you literally needing my assistance so much that you call me 400 times? She's like, I can't believe it. All that kind of stuff. It'd be over things that were, not that big of a deal. Granted, I'm getting this perspective from Kevin, who submitted this story. Which, by the way, if you want to submit a story, go to Instagram, look up Pugs, follow me. I actually have more followers in there than here because my reels do really well, and message me your story. Granted, we're hearing the story from Kevin, who heard it from Liam, so I would say that there's a decent probability that maybe Liam did a thing or two that wasn't great. But what I'm trying to say is, at a minimum, Ava's been consistently crazy. But at this point of the story, she is out of the relationship. Okay. Here's where we start. Take this. Friday afternoon. So they get out of school. Kevin's in his last period math class. He is falling asleep. Bro's like, what? Geometry proof this? Acute angle that? I do not care, bro. I'm trying to get out of here. Bell rings. Life is good. He always walks back home with Ben, his friend. So, Kevin's kind of waiting around. Ben kind of walks out, and Ben looks a little excited. So Kevin's like, oh, yo, what's up, bro? You're looking so happy. What happened? Miss Anderson kiss you on the way out or something? Ben's like, no, dude, hear this out. Brian, bro, he's got the house for the weekend. He's throwing a rager tonight. It's about to be crazy. And Kevin's like, oh, okay, sweet, yeah. It's been a second since the two of them have been to a house party. So it's, there was a bunch over the summer, but ever since the school year started up again, it's actually been a while. So Kevin, is getting a little excited about it. Yeah, so sure enough, right? They're walking back. They're talking about whatever. And, they're getting excited for the party that night. They're like, oh, who's going to be there? Because they've been to a couple, gatherings. Kevin doesn't want to call them parties because it was like 4 dudes, case of beer maybe, playing some like Fortnite or something. I wouldn't really call that a party, my friend. Like it was whatever. It was whatever. But this one, since he's got the house for the weekend and they didn't have to like sneak downstairs in the basement or something, and like, I don't know, right? Since, this guy, Brian, had the house for the weekend, they were like super excited. Kevin and Ben were both pretty single. And by pretty single, I mean they just had no play. So this was an exciting opportunity to, go to the party and all the girls are going to be there. Which, I mean, in reality, if you've been to enough parties without expectations, you normally know you get there and then you're on the weather app and then you're hanging out with your friends and then it's 2 a.m, you got to go home. You're like, wait, what? But either way, it was exciting. It was an opportunity. So when the time kind of rolled around, it was kind of like they were walking up and they decided to walk up to the party together. Walking in, they could already hear it from a little far away. So like Kevin like looks over to Ben and is like, dude, this party's not going to last if it kind of keeps up like this. If you don't know, throwing massive parties in a residential neighborhood, it's going to get the cops called on you pretty quick. But they were, just happy to be there and honestly happy it wasn't their house. That's really all that matters, right? It wasn't their house, so they were chilling. Kevin and Ben, they walk up, knock on the door, wait a second, knock on the door again. Eventually, some random guy who was in Brian opens it up, but they recognize each other. And he's like, oh, what's up, bro? Like, come on in. And as they're walking in, they hear a car pull up. And the doors open up, and 3 girls walk out. I think like an older sister driving them or something. I don't know. So there's 3 girls. 2 of them, I don't need to give names. But the third one that walks out of the left side of the back seat was Ava. So Ben always thought Ava was pretty hot, right? That's what he thought. He knew that she was insane. And he had heard everything from Kevin. Kevin tells me that he completely cued Ben in. That Ben knows everything that Ava's done. So it's not as if Ben is like, oh my God, what a beautiful girl. I'm sure she's an angel. Nah. Ben knew what was up, but that was just something. Ben always had like a low-key crush on her. But one of those like where it's like, oh yeah, she's terrible. I'd never do it. No, she's the worst. But if given an opportunity, he would totally like fall on his knees in love with her, right? So anyways, they all walk in and they kind of walk in as a group. And Kevin goes to like see what they have for drinks, whatever, walks over. House is a mess already. Like Brian was one of those kids where low-key his parents were pretty strict. And his parents, I think, decided, you know what? Brian's been so good recently. We'll give him the house for the weekend. What could possibly go wrong? And like Brian hadn't been to a lot of these parties before, so I feel like him throwing one as soon as he got the house, instead of throwing maybe a smaller party with a couple friends, or having a couple people over, or maybe chatting with some girl weeks prior and then having a girl over instead of something like that. I think he wanted to throw a crazy party I don't want to say gain clout as like he's just trying to do it for social gain. I think he was in a situation where he was like, man, I'm so behind. I haven't been to any of these parties. If I throw one, I'll catch up. Guys, just a little piece of wisdom. Don't throw house parties. Go to one. That's fine. I have no problem with that. Do what you're going to do. I'm not your parents. But all I can say is do not be the one to throw them. That's all I'm going to say. Please live by that. Anyways, though, so, sure enough, right? Whole house is wrecked. Anyways, Kevin's walking over. Like two guys are kind of in the kitchen, manning bar per se, and Kevin's like, it was like, oh, like, dude, like, there's no shot this party's gonna last. And the guys in the bar are like, yeah, like, there's already like, we're already talking about where we're gonna go when this gets busted. Which, I mean, that's kind of tough for Brian. Like, they're all gonna get up and go as soon as the cops come. But at the end of the day, is what it is. And Kevin's kind of looking around, and he turns behind. He's like, where'd Ben go? Because, Ben was noticeably not there. So Kevin's kind of looking around, and sure enough, he sees Ben talking to a group of girls. So Kevin was like, oh, sweet. These girls were facing away from him. Ben was facing towards Kevin. No, the girls weren't facing away from Ben. They were facing towards Ben, but they were facing away from Kevin. So all Kevin sees is Ben, yapping away with a group of 3 girls. This is not a terrible opportunity for Kevin to go up there and talk to one of the three, right? It's not like Ben's going to be like, bro, why are you trying to blow my chances with getting a four-way like that? You know what I mean? Like, I think he's chilling there, right? So sure enough, Kevin walks up, kind of a little bit of a strut, a little bit of a, hey, what's up, ladies, right? No, I'm trolling. But he's like, kind of walks up a little bit of a strut. It's going to like, kind of slides in the convo. He's like, hey, what's going on, guys? Like, what's up, Ben? Looks around, scans, look at the three faces. Ava was there. And he's like, oh, because remember, he was friends with Liam, and he heard everything. Ava also knows that Liam and Kevin were kind of friendly. So Ava immediately gives him a death stare. And Kevin's like, oh, okay. Kevin was low-key like, how do I get out of this situation as fast as possible? Yeah, so sure enough, Kevin's like, geez, like, how do I get out of this situation? And he's not just going to, like, turn around and dip, right? He's to kind of slide out of it. But before Kevin slides, because Kevin's he's quite good at socializing, which means he's quite good at getting into conversations. But in fact, he's equally as good at getting out of them without seeming like he's being good at getting out of them. But what he notices before he slips away is that Ben, his friend, is just locked in with eye contact with Ava. Ava's locked in right away. I think Ava broke eye contact to give Kevin the dirty look and then went right back to looking at Ben, right? They were like, and Kevin immediately was like, bro, no, like he knows. And Kevin's like, look, he knows that he knows that she's the worst. Well, according to people's stories, right? I will say, if you hear that some guy or some girl is the worst, but you only hear it from their exes, do take that with the perspective that you don't have the complete story here, and that probably an ex giving a recollection, an ex telling you about a person when it was a messy breakup has bias. It doesn't mean that it's not true. True things can be biased, right? Someone can be biased towards telling the truth. Someone can be biased towards telling the lie, right? That doesn't mean it's true or false, but you also got to realize that there might be an incentive to really highlight the bad things and exaggerate the bad things, and perhaps maybe leave their maybe if they started something or they were the reason and it was justified their response, right? I'm getting a little bit too deep into it. What I'm trying to say is like, it was pretty clear that Ava was crazy. You got to trust me. Got to trust Kevin on that. And Kevin knew that Ben knew, because Kevin told Ben every painstaking detail that he got from Liam. But Kevin also knows how the male brain works. Here's a little thought experiment. It's not a thought experiment. I'm just going to tell you some facts. If you're a guy, this might be true for girls. I can only speak for the male experience, though. If you're a guy, there's a girl, and she is terrible for you. She leads you on. She doesn't respect you. And for every other category of like why she's not good for you, but you have a crush on her, I guarantee you 100%, okay, 99% of the times, 99 out of 100, you will fold. You will fold, and if she like shows any scrap of interest, whether real or just to grab more attention from you, you will immediately fold. At least until you've been smacked in the face a few times. And then you learn the tricks of the trade and you can control your inner self. Anyways, Kevin knew what was going on. So Kevin goes immediately back to the bar. He's like, oh, hell no, I need a drink. I can't take this. Kevin goes off to the bar. Well, the bar is basically just two dudes ransacking poor Brian's parents' drink closet. It's over. It's GG's for Brian, by the way. Brian, I think, probably knows it at this point. So he's like, I'm just going to lean into it. Like, not great, but might as well enjoy my last moments before I'm going to be in the worst trouble I've ever been in and probably grounded for life. Yeah, so sure enough, right? Kevin's back. He's like, boys, because he looks over, there's two guys, call them Will and PJ. Kind of knows, they know each other. They're friends enough. Everyone knows about Ava. She's bad news. Kevin's like, yo, boys, I got a problem. They're like, hey, what's up? And he's like, my buddy, Ben, making freaking Google eyes at Ava, and she's totally eating it up. And they're like, yeah, That's not good. And like Will looks over to PJ and they're kind of exchanging each other some looks of like, uh-oh, here we go again. Because at this point, after you've had like 6 terrible relationships in 4 years, basically, I don't know, you got a bit of a reputation, especially if it's implied that they're all, kind of your fault a little bit, or at least partially. I think every relationship is a dynamic, so usually it can really never be 100% one person, the outcome. But then they look at each other. They look past Kevin, and Kevin in his head's like, why are they looking past me? And they kind of look at each other, and then they look at Kevin, and Will's like, I think you got bigger problems, buddy. And Kevin's like, what? So Kevin turns around. He turns around to see that the 2 other girls that were with Ava are now gone, talking to someone else. But that Ben and Ava are making out in the corner, and Kevin's like, no, and he like puts his hand on his head, runs through his hair. It's like, oh no. Yeah, and Will and PJ start laughing like, yeah, bro. Yeah, that's raps for you. Like, you're going to hear all about it. If you guys are close, well, you might as well be in a relationship too with her, because I heard she makes everyone's, like, her significant other and all of his friends' life's a living hell. So enjoy that. And Kevin's like, all right, just pour me another one. Anyways, so eventually, like, Kevin's kind of watching from a distance. He's not, like, stalking them. He's not like, oh, yes, I'm going to watch you make out. No, he's not being weird about it, right? But he's kind of just, like, assessing the situation. Because he's like, all right, those 2 are not going back together. I mean, it's not going to happen, right? But that's not happening. But anyways, he's kind of just watching. Eventually, like, Ava kind of pulls away. She's like, I gotta go. Like, kind of like mouths, like, I gotta go. As her, like, 2 friends are kind of pulling her away because, they probably have a ride to catch. And they probably also know this joint's about to explode. Police are definitely about to come. So she's, like, being pulled away, and she kind of outstretches her arm, like, oh, come back to me. Oh, I'll see you, blah, 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 whatever. And Ben is just, like, smiling. Buddy is so smiley. Kevin goes up to him. Kevin's a little, like, annoyed. But he's also, like, got to, like, he's got to reel it in a little bit. Because when you're in top, man, I'll speak from the heart right now. Even though I know, right? Even when I know that someone's wrong, even recently, not too recently, but within the last year, if you get intoxicated, it's like if you drink something that, drink like some too many beers or something, you're going to become intoxicated by a substance and you will not think clearly. And I can think back to so many moments when I become intoxicated by someone else and I cannot think clearly. Because I look back at my decisions, I'm like, oh my God, why would I do that? It is genuinely like I've been intoxicated. It's insane. So I feel a little bad for Ben here. Just from like man to man, I feel a little bit bad because I know what it's like. Even though you know you're doing the wrong thing, you just can't pull yourself not to do it, and it's bad. Kevin kind of knows this too. So he's mad. Kevin's not happy, but he's going in kind of reserved. And he kind of Kevin walks up to Ben, makes eye contact with him. And Ben's like, what? Because he's still super smiley. Like, okay, right. It's the girl he's always had a little bit of a crush on. It's this kind of dynamic of, oh, well, she's bad, and, well, we're doing so bad, so it's good. And, what I mean? Whatever. And Kevin kind of just looks at Ben like, dude. Kind of shakes his head a little bit. He's like, what are you doing? And Ben's like, oh, I don't know. Like, no, it's chill. We're just like, that was just like a one-off thing. Kevin looks at Ben and is like, really? It's a one-off thing? So you're telling me if she, like, adds you on Snapchat tonight and starts texting you, you're not going to text her back? Is that what you're saying? And Ben's like, well, I mean, and Kevin's like, okay, look. He, like, goes up to Ben, puts a hand on his shoulder, looks him directly in the eye. Kind of like a little brother-to-brother action. He's like, look, I'm close to Liam. And Ben's like, yeah, I know. Starts speaking, and Kevin cuts him off. He's like, look, you can do what you want. You're your own person. I'm not your dad. Right? You can do what you want to do. But what I heard from Liam, and I told you about it, so I don't need to tell you again, but it's bad news over there, man. It's an oasis. It's bad news. Looks good from here. It's a mirage. You're going to go there. It's a trap. Like, it's no good. If you got to discover that yourself by doing it, I can't stop you. But I have to at least know that I tried to warn you. And Ben's like, dude, it's fine. Like, it's not that deep. Like, relax. Like, you're my boy. Don't worry about it. I know. You want the best for me. And like, I'm just gonna do what's right. Like, I'm gonna feel it out. It's gonna be a game time decision. Which is him not saying straight out like no and nothing's coming out of it. Basically means that yes, he is totally gonna fold for her. So Kevin at that point kind of throws up his hands like, well, okay. Boy's gonna do what his boy's gonna do. I can't stop him. I don't want to stop him, right? Because then I'm going to become the bad guy, and it's going to happen either way. That's the thing, too. Look, I was in another little personal situation. One of my friends, I'm not going to get too detailed just in case this gets clipped or something. I don't even know. You know, he had a kind of a quasi-relationship with someone. It was never official. And it was unanimous in the friend group that this girl was not great for him. And at the time, totally true. It was a bad dynamic. Eventually, they stopped seeing each other. And then, about a year later, they got reintroduced into each other's lives. And we were sitting there. And all the guys were like, dude, don't go over there. Don't talk to her. I straight up said to my friend, I said, his name, I said, you're a grown man. You're going to make your own choice here. Not because I thought it was the right choice, but because I knew in that moment that I could, it was his decision to make. He already knew that it was a bad idea, and he knew that I thought it was a bad idea. But in that moment, it was not, it was he's already made his decision. And they actually did get together, and she completely changed. She'd gotten, well, a lot of the problems before, to my knowledge, have gone away. Everyone has ups and downs. And it wasn't as if, like, my advice would, if I said don't do it, would have been wrong. Given all the information we had, it was totally correct advice. My friends were completely right. Given the information we knew, turns out she changed, right? But what I'm trying to say is, in that situation, all you can say is like, you know my opinion, especially if they know your stance. Just be like, sometimes you got to learn through your mistakes. You got to learn through deciding to make, consciously deciding to do the wrong thing and getting slapped in the face for it, which is exactly what happens. As you can tell by the title, this goes downhill very quickly. Anyways, eventually they leave the party. Next day, Kevin wakes up. It's a Saturday morning. Life's chill, bro. Like, he's okay, I don't got too crazy homework. Waking up. Life's good. Checks his phone. He gets a text message from Ben being like, yo, like, I'm like low-key chatting with like Ava a lot. I don't know. I think she's kind of cool. I think she's changed a lot. People change, but I think people overestimate how quickly people change. I think people overestimate how good some people can put on an appearance. All the bad qualities, they don't tend to lead with them, is what I'm trying to say. You meet someone who you've heard people say bad things about and they seem nice at first. Don't think that those people are necessarily wrong. It probably just means that person doesn't reveal those qualities until you're a little bit too far in the relationship. Friendship, like girlfriend, boyfriend, doesn't matter. The same. Teacher, mentor, whatever the relationship is. Business partner, customer, whatever that. If people say those qualities, it's probably going to be true over time. Maybe not, but just be aware of that. It's one thing I've witnessed and observed and lived in my life. But sure enough, Kevin's like, all right, my boy's going to do whatever my boy's going to do. And he'll figure it out. Life's going to be chill. I'm going to hop on Fortnite, just pretend I didn't hear any of this. Anyways, next week comes around. I'm going to skip a little bit, just summarize a little bit. Immediately as they get back, Ben and Ava are in love, right? Oh my God, they love each other so much, blah, blah, blah. Okay, a guy and a girl like each other, and then they just fall madly in love. Oh, that's definitely not a rush of chemicals that were evolutionarily implemented in us so that, during the, procreation period, since a human baby needs a lot more time to grow and be nurtured than a lot of other babies out there for other species who don't have this kind of love relationship. Doesn't mean it's false. I'm just pointing that out. Anyways, they're in the honeymoon period, which is what I'm trying to say. And, Kevin's getting a little annoyed because he's hearing like, oh, and then Ava and I did that because like, him and Ben used to have combos about like Fortnite, life, what parties were going on, sports. I don't know, like typical guy stuff, right? And just having a good time. Now it was all like, oh, Ava's actually so cool, dude. She's so changed. Oh, dude, like, we're like hanging out. We're like making out the whole time. It was awesome. I don't want to hear that. Here's the thing. The guys and I don't sit down and talk about that because that's weird. I don't need to know. I really don't need to know. Right? Who cares? TMI. Anyways, stuff starts to go poorly next week. Yes, the relationship starts to go south almost immediately. And Kevin, I gotta give him some respect because he restrained himself from saying "I told you so" at least 100 times in the next 2 weeks because it gets progressively worse and worse. Okay, it's a random Tuesday of next week. They usually walk back together just because they live kind of same path. Like Ben lives farther than Kevin, but it's like a straight line almost. They take a couple left turns and then it's a straight line. And Kevin like lives closer in the straight line. So they walk all the way, then Kevin goes and Ben keeps walking essentially. But they always walk back together because they've been boys since before they can even remember. They've been boys since day one to them. And Ben's like awkwardly silent. Ben's not like a super chatty guy. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying that like Kevin could tell like something was up because every other day, oh, Ava and I did this. Oh, Kevin, do you want to know that Ava and I kissed with tongue? Ha ha. Dude, I don't care. Kevin restrained himself from saying that too. Kevin seems like a good guy from Kevin's perspective. Anyways, it was very noticeably silent. So, Ben was, no, sorry, not Ben. Kevin was like, bro, you good? And Ben almost looks like, he looks like he's a little sick. And Ben's like, dude, today was weird. Kevin's like, come on, Benny boy, speak to me. What's up? I got you. What's going on? Kevin immediately knew this about Ava. Immediately. No question. Anyways. Ben's like, dude, I don't know. I don't know how to say this. Kevin's like, yo, what's up? Speak up. It's cool. Ben's like, just can't tell anyone this. Kevin's like, who am I going to tell? Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, I want you to comment down below, Ava. That's the secret word of the day. Confuse everyone else of why everyone's commenting Ava who didn't make it this far, and it lets me see the names and faces of the people who made it this far. If you're listening to this on Spotify, and you're not listening to this on YouTube, which, by the way, YouTube and Spotify listeners, I'm on both, make sure you've rated the podcast 5 stars and hit the follow button. Finally, if you're interested in my life outside of like these like short videos, which I feel like I give a lot of like my own personal stories and also personal advice mixed in between. That's probably why I like doing these long videos. I genuinely enjoy kind of speaking to you like that. If you want to see the rest of my life, I actually post a lot on Snapchat. I'm doing actually really well on there. My Snapchat's Connor Pugs, one word. It's the yellow verified whatever. It's me. You can also tap into the stories and see it's me. So that's how you can verify. But if you want to see the rest of me, add me on Snapchat. On YouTube, people, make sure you subscribe with notifications on and left a like. Yeah, let's just get back into it because you guys are not going to be prepared for what's coming up. By the way, there's like multiple waves of craziness, not just one. So strap in, baby, strap in. Okay, so remember, Ben's looking all sick. Kevin's like, what's up, bro? And Ben's like, dude, you can't tell anyone. So Kevin's like, yeah, what's up? Ben's like, dude, I don't know what happened, but Ava and I always like meet up in the morning because we have the same like free period in the morning. And like today she was like looking at me all weird. Kevin's like, did she break up with you? And Ben's like, no, maybe that would have been better. Kevin's like, oh boy, what? Ben's like, dude, I don't know. Dude, she said like she wanted like me to go to the bathroom with her and then to just like have me pee on all of her clothes. Kevin's like, what the fuck? Yeah, and Ben's like, dude, I was so weirded out. And she's like, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. And Ben's like, I don't know. I don't know. And then we sat there like in silence for like 5 minutes, dude. I'm not even kidding. Like 5 minutes of silence. And then she like just started talking like she didn't say anything like that. Kevin's like, okay, bro, like that's not super okay. Kevin's like, look, Ava's a crazy girl in a lot of ways. You know, she's had her ups and downs, but you know, I didn't share all the details I got from Liam, bro. She's a crazy girl, likes a lot of things. Just be clear what you like and what you don't like, okay? And Ben's like, oh, that's not it. Like, I get it. Like, you can like what you like, but as we're walking out of the free period, some random guy was walking by us, and, dude, she just, like, says really loudly for me to turn around and pee on her as the guy's walking by. And the guy looks at us. I don't even know who this dude is. He just keeps walking by. Kevin's like, oh, okay. Kevin's like, look, you can like do whatever you want. Just set the boundary there. But I don't know. Like, you got to tell her it's not cool to like basically try and humiliate you in public. Kevin's like, dude, I don't know. She was like all of her exes. She was always like screaming at them, yelling at them, demeaning them. Dude, she might just like demeaning people. I don't know. And Ben's like, bro, what the fuck? Okay, like this was so honeymoon a week ago. She seemed perfect. Yeah, she occasionally like spit in people's food and trip over people. And Kevin's like, what? Ben's like, yeah, I didn't tell you all the details. I summarized it. I left those out. And Kevin's like, those are pretty big details. She spit in people's food, spat in people's food, and tripped people. Ben's like, as a joke. Kevin's like, oh, okay. Okay, so this is entering the period of denialism. But not just denialism, because Ben admits it and he's aware of it, but you change the ranking of the importance. So listen up. I've done this many times. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen very closely. When you've put someone on a pedestal, when you've been intoxicated by them, a lot of times it's not as if you're not aware of what they're doing. They don't respond to you for 2 weeks while spamming their stories and then being like, sorry, I was in the shower, or like very clearly talking to someone else to make you jealous. A list of things that are not great, or just reasons why maybe you shouldn't be obsessed with them. Here's the thing. They're going to do 5 awful things and 1 fairly nice thing. You're going to take those 5 awful things. You're going to recognize them. You're not like so deep in the sauce that like you ignore it. You somehow make it not happen. Your mind's aware that the bad things they did were there. You just minimize them. You make them really, really small. And then you take the one kind of small good thing and you make it really, really large. And then when you think of that person, you think of them in the ratio of the good to the bad. And you're like, oh, they're great. Well, it's because you manipulated the variables here. If there was like an objective view, they suck. No question. But it's not as if that you're ignoring things. It's just you change the size in your head when you're doing these like little calculations or whatever. That's very dangerous. Be very careful. Here's a good way to go about it. Confide in 2 to 3 trusted people. Don't have them be all the same people in the same friend group, because they'll talk to each other and have the same opinions. If possible, trusted guardian or older person if there's someone in your life like that. And then 2 friends from 2 different friend groups, if that's possible, right? This is assuming you can do all that. If they all give you basically the same response, that this person's actually bad for you, as long as you told them things accurately, which you're going to leave stuff out, by the way, you're going to tell them a much nicer version. So if they all say that this person's bad with the better version, that you're not telling them the whole truth because I know you, because you were me, then you got to realize that you're in full intoxication mode. You got to get out of there. Anyways, that was a long tangent. So yeah, anyways, Kevin and Ben have a long chat for like 45 minutes. It's not great. A long chat for like 45 minutes. By the end of it, Kevin has come to the conclusion with Ben that, he should set very, very strong boundaries. Kevin thinks that they should break up, but Ben's like, no, dude, no. And Kevin's like, okay, yeah, set very, very strong boundaries. And then If she breaks any of that, you got to go. And Ben's like, okay, 100%, bro, I got you. You're so right. So by the end of the conversation, Kevin was hopeful. Ben was like, you're so right, bro. You're so right. Anyways, a couple days later, they have another conversation. Ben walks out of school. Kevin's like, oh, what? Like, what? And Ben's like, oh, it's good. It's good, man. Like, Ava and I are doing good. It's good. Kevin's like, what? Because whenever you say, it's good, man, it's good, trust me, then what's up? He's like, well, I did see her, like, I don't know, like, we walked by some, like, kid, she, like, pushed him into a locker. Kevin's like, what? He's like, no, it's not like that, like, as a joke. Kevin's like, that's not a joke. Ben's like, okay. I was low-key like, yo, maybe you shouldn't do that. And then she turns around and grabs me by the collar and says, like, unless I want to end up like that kid, I shouldn't say anything. Kevin's like, bro, what? Ben's like, dude, it was a joke. Don't worry about it. So anyways, Kevin's like, okay. So Kevin assembles the council. I don't know if this has ever happened. I've only had to assemble a council for one of my boys once. For a different reason, unrelated. Basically, Kevin and Ben were like the closest, but they kind of had a quasi-friend group, like different. Kevin kind of brought together two friend groups that were like adjacent. They walk over to Ben's house, knock on the door. Ben's mom's like, oh yeah, Ben's upstairs, you can go up. They all walk up, they knock on the door. Ben opens it up. He's like, what the hell? Kevin's like, look, we got to talk to you for a sec. Ben's like, can I know about what? Kevin's like, you know what it's about. Ben's like, dude, it's fine. Kevin's like, we'll be here for 2 minutes and we'll leave. And he's like, okay. They all sit down. They're like, Ben, bro, this relationship's bad. She's bad news. She's like, this is bad. Like, you have to see it. And they list out everything that she's done in plain English. Ben's like, by the end of it, Ben's like, okay, look, she does one more thing that is like, that any of you guys don't like, I'll break up with her. Which is not true, by the way. Like, he's going to, like, argue it. So, in Kevin's mind, it's like, okay, if she does one thing that's so unequivocally terrible, I can push him on this. And Kevin's like, look, this is for your own good, bro. Because you're kind of in the state of being crazy, we're going to hold you to this. And if you kind of break this little bit of a promise, and we're not going to be crazy about it, right? We'll work with you. But if you break this promise, like, we don't want to put an ultimatum, but like we're not gonna hang out with you until you like follow through. And Ben's like, what? Kevin's like, dude, look, imagine and Kevin's like, remember me and Sadie, a relationship he had 1.5 years ago. It was terrible. Kevin never brings this up because it was like genuinely traumatic to him. He never even wants to hear her name. And the whole room goes quiet because they know it's Sadie. He said Sadie. Oh my God. Kevin's like, you remember me then? Remember when you would tell me all these things and I would ignore it? Well, this is flipped. And Ben's like, bro, that was like much worse. And Ben's like, and Kevin's like, dude, I was in the same position as you. Why? This girl's your Sadie. Ben's like, that's not true. Kevin's like, look, you don't think that now? I didn't think that at the time either. We have to be hard on you because we love you, bro. He said, best of luck. And Kevin, the boys walk out of there. So Kevin and his friends are walking out. They're like, wow, like, teasing deep. It's been 1.5 weeks. Like, this is what you see after 6 years of a bad relationship. Not 2 weeks. This girl Ava's got some crazy witchcrafting spells going on or something. Like, what the hell? Anyways, they keep walking. Kevin goes back home. He just kind of has a pit in his stomach for his friend. Because you got to let your friends make their own decisions, but you also, at a certain point, it's almost like when someone gets really, really old and it's like power of attorney. It's like they can't make their own decisions healthily. This is low-key the same thing. It's a little bit of a questionable move, and I've never pulled the move of we're not going to hang out with you unless you do what we say. That's reserved for a crazy situation. But I don't know if you guys disagree with this, but I think this is a crazy situation. I would say this deserves what Kevin and his friends are doing. I mean, go in the comment section. Let me know if you disagree. Like, let me know if you think that was too far. I'm going to say I usually disagree with doing that, but in this case, I'm cool with it. Anyways, next day in school is the big, it's so over. Oh my God, this is just genuinely so bad. I don't know how freaking I don't know. So this happened like a couple months ago. So, this actually happened like 5-6+ months ago. So more towards the first semester. So Skibidi Toilet was known as like some stupid meme at this point. It was like, oh, this is literal a child brain rot, right? But the internet's very weird with everything. They're very weird with everything. So anyways, the next day comes around. And there is, so Kevin is walking down the hallway with I don't know, Gavin, one of his random friends, right? And he's walking, and he sees Ben and Ava hanging out. They seem to be laughing, having a good time. And a little part of Kevin is like, maybe they're going to figure it out. Maybe it's going to be okay. Maybe this girl's actually okay. Maybe this girl's just fine, and I'm being crazy. Maybe I'm the crazy one here. I don't know. It's possible. And Kevin's not just with Gavin. There's a couple other dudes behind him. I just don't feel like giving them any names. They're walking up, and here's the thing. Everything changes when Ava sees them coming. It's not good. Strap in. Prep yourself. Anyways, so they're getting up, they're walking by, and you can just see a change in Ava's body language. Because she, repositions herself to kind of be in view of Ben and these guys. She almost maneuvers herself around so that she can see everyone in the room. And it's in a hallway. And thankfully for Ben, the only people here are Kevin, Gavin, and a couple other dudes. Not the whole school. That would be game over. But anyways, Ava's like, Kevin, right? And Kevin's like, what's up? Because he knows that Ava knows who he is, right? He knows. He's like, yeah, whatever. Well, I know you and Ben are friends. So, turns to Ben. It's like, Ben, do you know Skibidi Toilet? And Ben's like, what the fuck? Yes, I guess. It's a big thing on YouTube. Stupid. She's like, yeah, well, I want you to go into the bathroom and become Skibidi Toilet. And Ben's like, yo, what? He steps away. Bro literally steps away from her. It's like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, I want you to get in that toilet so just your head's popping out. And I want you to become one of those I want you to become one of those freaking Skibidi Toilet things. And Ben's like, dude, what? And Ben's turning all red. And Kevin's can tell that she's just trying to make him as uncomfortable as possible. As she's done with everyone else. She's not good. These rumors are not from anywhere. They're not from left field. They're real. It's not conspiracies. And she's like, yeah. And you know what? I'm gonna come in there and I'm gonna sit on you. And Kevin's like, what? At this point, Kevin's like, yo, whoa. And he pushes the boys back. And Ben's like, yo, what? Ben is so red at this point. And Ava's like, yeah. And it's dead silence. It's like, what the fuck? What's going on? This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. This is one of the side note, this is one of the weirdest stories. This was on the line of me cutting this from telling the story time. This is low-key me editing some of the weirder stuff out. This is weird as hell. I cut some stuff from the story. This on the line. This is crazy. And honestly, if you got a story that's a little weirder than this, I'm not telling it. You can submit to me. I'm not telling it. This is the line. But I think there's some good lessons. And this is an insane story, but I think there's some good lessons. So it's entertaining, but also a bit educational, in my opinion. I'm trying to make it a little educational, as ridiculous as it is. Anyways, and Ben's gonna be literally on the verge of tears. And Ava's like, all right, well, I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'm just be a Skibidi Toilet when I'm in there. And walks by them. And Ben is just in shame, bro. Lowest level emotion. He's in shame. Kevin walks up to him. He's like, bro, it's not, none of this is your fault, bro. Ben's like, dude, low key, dude, I ignored all this stuff. There's more stuff I didn't tell it. Kevin's like, bro, you're good. You should probably break up with her. And Ben's like, yeah, no, I'm going to go do that right now. But Kevin's like, dude, don't worry. We got you. He's like, can you just please not tell anyone which, oh my God, it's now a YouTube video. I'm not realizing 42 minutes in that. Anyways, I'm pretty sure Kevin got permission from Ben to tell this story. If not, then spaghetti-o. Okay. In all fairness, I mix up enough of the details. A lot of these details are subbed in with random stuff that the story, it's normally jambled enough that even if Ben was to listen to this, it would be kind of, well, this is unique enough that, okay, maybe he'd figure it out. But the point is, it's jambled enough that it's enough identity. Whatever, right? There's enough good value in the story for people to hear. He's like, bro, just don't tell anyone at school. He's like, all right, I got you, bro. But, like, I need to see that you break up with this girl. I need to see it. And Ben, like, totally understands. So Kevin looks at the other guys, like, because they didn't really know what was going on. He looks at them as boys who can't say anything. And they're like, yo. So they walk away, and Kevin's just like, because, like, he knows, like, basically, Ava's, like, walked into the room adjacent from, like, the bathroom, or like the one-on-one, like the all genders one person bathroom that's like only one person. She's in the room waiting for him to like get there. I don't even know what she expected, bro. And Kevin's like, I'm not gonna make this obvious. I'm looking, but I'll know. Ben's like, okay. So anyways, Kevin kind of waits at the end of the hall. Ben walks down, walks in the room that Ava's in, hears a little bit of talking, and then he just hears screaming, you can't do that. A little bit talking. A little bit talking. Door slams open. Ava turns around one more time, yells at them like, you'll never have anyone as good as me. You know that. You know I'm harder than you. You know I'm more popular. I don't think she's more popular. I don't know about the try. Who cares, right? Ava, and she like walks out. And Ben walks out of that room with the most pep in his step that Kevin has seen. That same smile when Kevin went up to him after he caught him making out with Ava back at that party. That same kind of smile. But this smile wasn't the smile of like, oh, I can't wait, what could be. This was the smile of, thank God, what's going to happen next is different than what happened before. So anyways, Kevin puts a hand on his shoulder, and Ben's like, bro, you told me. And Kevin's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Which is very mature of Kevin, because he so could have been like, yeah, I know I told you. I told you many times. No. Anyways, so he's like, all right, bro, good stuff. Let's go on to our class or whatever. They go to their classes, day ends. They're walking back home. Eventually, they get to the point where they're walking back home. You know what Kevin does? He isn't like, oh, let's talk about what happened today. Let's talk about how you got out of that terrible relationship. Kevin's like, yo, you see the new Fortnite update? And Ben's like, oh, wait, they had no update? Kevin's like, yeah, you were kind of busy last week. I don't know what happened. They kind of look at each other, a little bit of a smile, a little bit of smirks, but they're like, oh, I don't know either, man. You want to hop on tonight? Kevin's like, yeah, let's hop on tonight.